Hello everybody, welcome back to Firefield Junction and welcome to what is going to be quite a different video to what I've done before. Today's video is going to be something different, and it's also going to be what I'm hoping will be sort of the start of a new mini-series that I'll be doing over, well, for as long as I feel like it. It's going to be something a bit different. Hopefully you'll find it interesting and you'll find it useful maybe. But this new series is going to be, I'm going to be calling it Wrecked Rolling Stock, and the reason for that is this series is going to focus on models that unfortunately for whatever reason aren't in the best condition. They are very worn down, not maybe missing quite a few bits, maybe even smashed to hell like this one sort of is. But it's going to be a series where we're going to hopefully take models such as that literally are ruined, just not in very good condition, and we're going to try and fix them up, get them going again, and hopefully make it so that we can enjoy them again once again, and basically, or make them usable in the first place. So today's video is going to be on a loco that we're all familiar with. We know it's been riddled with issues since it came out, and if you've got a decent one, then that was basically down to pot luck. But today's video, we've got one of the infamous Hattons Class 66s for us today. This particular one is in the rail freight, the BR large logo livery, so it's GBRF 66789. And obviously, first impressions, well, obviously we can't really tell because there's a big box in the way, but I have already checked this loco over, and as we'll see in a moment, it's not in best condition. And again, we'll see that in a moment when we open the box. So first of all, this particular loco, it did come from Hattons itself. They have still got a few on different 66s on there, although none of them really are they're not in the best of conditions. There's certainly no perfect ones on there. There's certainly an issue or two or several issues with all of the ones on there. But luckily I found this one. It was only £90 on there, and I thought, you know what, why not? Let's go for it. Let's have a go at fixing it, and hopefully we'll be able to get it working, and hopefully we'll be able to enjoy it for the first time. And whether it's secondhand, I'm not too sure. I don't know if it was secondhand and someone sent it back, or if maybe it was a dodgy one that came in and they took parts from it. Because this particular one, it was a sound-fitted version. However, the decoder and speaker have been removed. So I'm not sure if whether Hattons just got this one in. They thought, no, it's not really good enough to sell as it is. So we'll take out the decoder and speaker, sell those on separately, and then we'll just sell this loco basically as in the condition it is. I do think though that maybe the more likely scenario is that a customer bought it, they ended up removing the decoder and speaker for whatever reason, maybe because the loco wasn't in very good condition anyway, and then they just sent the loco back basically as it is now. Again, I'm not too sure, but it's here, it's not in very good condition, and hopefully in this video today we can fix it up and get her working, and we can enjoy her as she should be enjoyed. So I'll quickly open the box, I'll get the loco out, and then we can really see what we're dealing with. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so here we are. So as you can see, the loco is out of the box. Again, very obvious because we can actually see it this time. And as we can see at the moment, first impressions, not too bad. However, if I lift the loco up, as you can see, we have got a loose bogie. So that's the first thing. That's obviously a very obvious issue. Not only that though, because we also have this big bag here of loose parts and bits that also need to go back on. So if we just put the loco to one side for the moment, if I just put it in front of you there, and we'll put the bogie in front as well, we'll have a very quick look to see what bits we've got in here. We'll just tip all of these out. There is quite a mismatch of parts in here. There we are. So if we put that bag to one side, so first things first, there is a smaller bag here which has got some parts on. However, looking at these, I have a feeling these might be spare detailing parts that the loco might come with. Again, I could be wrong, because some of the parts in here, they do look like some detailing bits that are already still fitted to the loco. Again, I could be wrong. However, I'm fairly certain that these bits may or may not be needed. They might be, but I'll come back to this bag later. But for the moment, I can't obviously see anywhere where these go. But before we start fixing the loco up, I will have a real good look round it just to see where the bits go. Again, these bits, they probably do go somewhere, and it could be just the case that Hattons have put these in a smaller bag just so there's less chance of them getting damaged or lost or whatever maybe. I could be wrong, but I think that might be the case. But we have got some bits there, and some of them we may or may not need all of them, but we'll see. We probably will. The next thing, as we can see, we've got the fuel tank or battery box that needs gluing back on. That should be fairly simple. Again, just a dab of super glue, and that should go back on fairly simply. We've got a little bit of piping here. If I try and pick it up, it's quite fragile. I think this might be one of the sandpipes maybe. Again, I could be wrong, but we'll try and get that back on if we can. Put that to one side. We've then got one of the drive shafts, and we've got all of the worm gear and everything to put, so we can put that bogie back on. Another bit of piping there as well. Again, I'm not too sure. Actually, this might be one of the sandpipes. So I'm guessing this goes along underneath the bottom of the loco somewhere and near to one of the bogies. We've also got, I think this is one of the battery boxes. So we've got the fuel tank, and we have got one of the battery boxes as well. The other battery box that is still on the loco is quite loose, so I might take that off and then glue it back on myself, just so I know it's definitely nice and secure. And then we've also got a couple of the axle boxes. I think these are probably the most famous issue that people had with the 66s, was the axle boxes falling off. Now, I know that not all of the axle boxes are here, because for a start, we've got those two there. On the bogie that's still attached to the loco, we've got all three missing on that side. That's three, so that's obviously one missing already. And then on the bogie that's not attached, there's one missing from there. So the only thing that's obviously missing from this loco is two axle boxes. Apart from that, everything else just seems to be here. And luckily, those missing axle boxes aren't going to be an issue, because I do have a spare bag here of 3D printed ones from a company called Track 3D Railway Parts. They do have a website. They do various little kits like this, so obviously you can buy these if you want to. Either if you've got a 66 that is missing axle boxes, you can just buy these. All you need to do is paint them, and then you can just glue them in place, obviously where the old ones were. Or if you wanted to upgrade, well, I say upgrade, or if you wanted to change the original Hattons ones for these, because I think these are a bit more refined, a bit more realistic, and they work a bit better. If you wanted to, you could always change all of them for these if you wanted to. So you've got a couple of different options there. I can't remember exactly how much you get in here, but you do get about, I think, somewhere around 20 or something, maybe axle boxes in a bag. It might not be that much, but you do get quite a lot. So if you lose a few, then you've still got plenty spare to help keep you going. So we'll obviously be using a couple of these from this bag, so we can replace the two that are missing. But apart from that, all the other bits do appear to be here. So we should be able to sort that out, no problem. But anyway, before we continue and start doing any more work, I will pop the body off quickly. We'll have a quick look inside, to check everything over inside. And then from there, we should be able to then carry on, and we can start putting the loco back together. And the last thing I'll probably do is put the body back on. I'll probably put the entire loco back together first, and then put the body on, although I obviously will need to have the body off to put that drive shaft and everything back into that bogie. So anyway, let's get the body off, and then we can have a quick look inside, and then we should be able to start doing some work and get her going again. Okay, so here we are. So the body shell was off. It was a little bit tight to get it off, but we got there in the end. Definitely a lot, I think it was a lot better than my other 66 anyway, probably because there wasn't quite as many details in the way that could get bent or damaged or whatever. But anyway, we're inside, and we can see that overall inside she is looking okay. And we can see we've got the 21 pin DCC socket there, and I have got a decoder ready for her, so we can convert her to DCC, obviously, so I can run her. I will put her on analog temporarily, just so for testing and running in and all that, just so that I know everything's fine. I'll do all of that on analog, and then once I know she's going to be reliable, there's no issues or anything, then we can put the decoder in her, and then we can just leave, and then that should be it. It should all be fine. Now we can see we've got obviously the big recess here. This is where the speaker would have been, but obviously it's been taken out along with its decoder by the previous owner. We've got these two loose wires here, which are obviously these are the pickup wires for the bogie that goes here. So we'll obviously need to solder those back on, but again, that should be fairly simple. And apart from that, there doesn't seem to be anything else wrong. All the other wires are intact and they look okay. I have tested the motor just by putting power directly to the motor terminals on the circuit board anyway, and the motor ran perfectly fine. So we know that the motor's, well, we know that it's still there for a start, and we know that it's working fine, so that's the main thing. I don't know if any of the lights work, but I haven't tested that yet. but I presume that all of the lights should be fine. But again, if they're not, then oh well. I know that some of Hattons 66s did arrive with faulty lighting, I think maybe due to issues on the circuit board, or they were wired up incorrectly maybe. But as long as the loco runs, well, as long as we get the loco running, that's the main thing. As long as I know that she works and she works fine, that's the main thing. If any of the lights are faulty, then we can try and fix them, but it might be a bit hard to do that. But anyway, I think what we need to do now is, first of all, I'll probably get those two spare axle boxes painted up and get them ready. And once we have all of the parts ready, then we can start putting her back together and hopefully get her running again. So I'll quickly get those axle boxes ready, then we'll come back and we can start putting her back together. And there we are. So we've got the two spare axle boxes painted up. I've literally just gone over them with a quick coat of the Humbrol matte black paint, and they've come up fairly well. I think there's maybe the odd flake here and there. It might just be where the axle boxes have been moulded. But overall, they don't look too bad, and they should go on quite nicely. I have got a little bit of experience with these because I fitted a couple to my other Hattons 66 that had a couple of dodgy axle boxes. And once they were painted, they were fairly easy to get on. A little bit of super glue and gentle positioning in the right position, and they work absolutely fine. They rotate very well. They don't clash with the bogie frames at all anywhere. And so hopefully we should have the same experience on this one. So let's get everything ready and let's start putting the loco back together. Okay, so here we are. So as we can see, she's back on the track. I haven't put the body back on yet, purely just so we can do the testing first, because I don't really want to go putting all the body back on, only for us to then have some sort of issue where I need to take the body off again. So we might as well get all of the testing and everything out of the way before we put the body back on, so that we know she's okay and everything's gone back together fine. We've put her back on the track, as we can see, so we can test her. Usually I would do this on analog, however, the decoder's already in. I have already given her a little bit of testing off camera. I know all of the lights are working as they should be. The decoder hasn't been programmed yet, so it's still the default address with all the default settings, but that'll still be fine just for us to test to make sure she's okay. So first of all, if we just put the lights on, so we can see there, so we've got the 3 headlights there, and that obviously will light up when the body's on. It will light up all of the relevant headlights on the end there. And then if we change direction, obviously we can see at first nothing comes on, because on this decoder, function 0 literally just does the headlights at either end. If we do function 1, as we can see, the tail lights now come on that end, but I believe if we change direction again, yeah, we can see they stay on. So we've got independent control of the headlights there, which is nice. If we turn function 1 off and turn function 2 on, the tail lights have now come on at the other end. Obviously you can't see, but I have just checked and they are on, so that's good. I'm not too sure if function 3 does something, but it should do, hopefully. Let's have a look. I can't see anything if we turn function 0 off. Okay, no, so function 3 doesn't appear to do anything. Does function 4 do anything? Okay, function 4 does the tail lights again for some reason. Function 5, oh wait, hold on. I pressed function 1 by accident. Function 4. No, function 5. Okay, no, so that seems to be it, but at least we've got separate control of the headlights and tail lights, so that's not too bad. So if we just give her a quick wiggle. There we are, so she runs very well that way. And in the other direction, yeah, do a bit faster. Let's go all the way around the corner. And yeah, she goes around the corner without issue. So if we bring her back again. Excellent. So what we'll do now is we'll give her a quick run around the layout, make sure everything's okay, make sure none of the axle boxes are loose, make sure all the parts can withstand running okay. Then we'll put the body back on, maybe couple her up to some wagons as well, and then we can get back in service on the layout, or well, I suppose in service on the layout for the first time, and we can finally enjoy her as she should be. So let's get her running, get her running, and we'll see what she's like now. She's been running in either direction for a good 10 to 15 minutes now, so she's very nicely ran in. She's all lubricated. I did give her the worm gears a bit of oil before running her, just to make sure that there was plenty of lubrication in the mechanism, and everything seems to be fine. She's handling the layout perfectly fine. There's no issues from what I can tell. Nothing's fallen off. So if we just stop her, we can now get the body shell back on, and we'll then see what she's like now. So there we go, the body shell's back on, everything's finally back in one piece. This is either the first time this loco's ever been one piece, or it's more likely the first time it's been in one piece in a very long time. But anyway, before we get her running, let's quickly do another quick test with the lights to make sure that everything's lined up properly. So if we do function 0, there we are, we can see the headlights have come on there. And if we change direction and go to the other ends, there we are, we can see they're working as well, so that's good. So then if we do the tail lights, we'll do function 2 first, because obviously that's the tail lights for this end. So if we do function 2, there we are, we can see they're working, very, very good. And go back to the other end, and let's see if function 1 still works properly. Yeah, there we go. They're a little bit dim, I think, or it might just be the angle or the lights, but yeah, there we go, they are working. So brilliant, so everything's working as it should. All of the lights are working properly, everything's lined up. None of the bits have fallen off, so that's good. So I think we can definitely say this project has been very successful. We remember at the start this loco was completely in bits, not usable at all, definitely by far. And now we can see after all this effort, it's been definitely worth it. She's back in one piece, she's working properly, there's no problems with her. I think we can say that for £90 plus a bit of work, this loco was definitely worth the investment. And I think we can say by looking at her, she definitely looks magnificent, doesn't she? Very, very good. So I think the last thing to do is to couple her up to a small train of wagons, and we can get her running around the layout and finally enjoy her as she should be enjoyed. I think it's safe to say that that is one loco successfully brought back into service. It's been really enjoyable fixing the loco up. It's great to have her finally running on the layouts. Hope you found the video entertaining, maybe even found it useful. Maybe you have some bits on your Hattons 66s that you want to put back on, or even you have a 66 that maybe you would like to fix up. But yeah, overall excellent result. An excellent loco, excellent runner, absolutely fantastic.